Got some nice Alaskan scenery here. And an old mining camp right there. We're gonna go check that out. I wouldn't call this a cart, maybe a flatbed cart or something like that. But it's interesting to see it cast away here. Certainly in a beautiful setting. That's for sure. I've gotten up to the buildings and I'm assuming these are bunkhouses and such, but they're all boarded up. So there's not really a lot to see here. So I'm gonna push on to the good stuff. You know, I can see all the ruined buildings, things like that up there. That looks more interesting. So I'm gonna head on up there. All right, here's a view from above, looking down on some of the mine buildings. Probably a bunkhouse and a few others down there. This is pretty cool. That's the waste rock pile for the remains of the adit up there. You can see the remains of the tram station, which is all that wood debris there. And where I'm standing is right next to one of the cables coming down from the tram. It's actually still standing somewhat. That is off the ground, which is more than I'm used to seeing, which is pretty cool. The locals said that it's completely caved up there, so I'm not going to make the arduous hike up there. It's still very interesting to me, at least. And I noticed as I was standing here, there's something up there as well. You might not be able to tell on wherever you're watching this on, but you see the remains of a structure that was up there, and that does look like waste rock right there. So I would imagine there's something up there too at some point. But this cable still being here, you see the cable run up there. That's really cool to me. There's another one here. It's down on the ground. I don't know if you can see that as well, but it's cool to see that cable still up. Here's another view of that upper adit. You can see the waste rock right there. The remains of the tram on the right there. There's some ruined buildings down here. I'm thinking this is a workshop because you can see a bunch of pipe stashed right there, and I see bits and pieces of drill steel around here. There's a length right there, and I saw some others over there as well. And then it looks like those may have been bins where they were storing equipment and such over there. So there's a fair amount here, that's for sure. Yeah, taking a closer look at it, those are all bins, and some of them even still have bits and pieces of equipment in them. Speaking of equipment, you can see there's some around us here. And then the buildings carry on through there. We are just looking in from the other side over there. This is the next section of building. There's a lot of stuff here. Not sure what that was over there. You can see the remains of one of the tram towers here, and after the ore was trammed down from above, it was transferred to carts that were here, and those would have been transported out to the mill there. And I thought this was a pretty cool shot of that from this perspective. Here's another view of the tram tower there, and you can see the remains of the mill along the creek here. There's a lot of stuff down there. Bunkhouses and stuff in the background. These are the photogenic remains of the trestle, and I believe those are the remains of an ore bin right there, and that's obviously part of the aerial tram there. Just another perspective on this, which I think is pretty cool. We're looking at the remains of the mill building here. Different perspective on that. It could definitely do with a coat of paint. That is for sure. And there's looking up at the trestle and ore bin, and you can see the cables and one of the tram towers right there, so that's pretty cool. I'm just below the cables for that aerial tram, and you can see there's actually one of the buckets here. Here are the the wheels they would ride cable on. And there's the bucket itself. Looks like it's taken some abuse, but that's pretty cool to see it here all the same. I thought this was a good view. There's that ore bin and trestle I've been talking about, and you can see all the ruins underneath here, which is photogenic if nothing else. I'm down below the mill, and this is probably one of the largest diesel engines I've ever seen that has been dumped here. You see it says Atlas Imperial diesel engine, and I wish I had somebody with me to stand next to it so you could see just how large it is, but trust me, this thing is enormous. The size of a semi-truck or something. I mean, it is a big boy. That huge diesel engine is right there, and there's some kind of a tool shop or equipment shed here. It's got some neat little mining artifacts I thought you guys might find interesting. So there's a bunch of stuff down there, and looks like the remains of another engine back there, if I'm not mistaken. And you see all these nails on the wall. Obviously they were hanging stuff off of that, so I thought that was kind of cool. This is a view looking back at the ruins of the mill. Through there you can see that ore bin and trestle there. Get my finger out of the way. And then beyond that, up the mountain, you can see the waste rock pile where the adit was. So this is a good shot to show you guys where everything was in relation to each other. You can see there are hundreds of canvas or burlap sacks piled up here, and those are normally what I would associate with the sacks they would put ore into. However, there was a mill here, so I'm not 100% certain about that. Maybe the mill didn't work out, or who knows, but these are normally what I would think that you would put ore in. So maybe somebody knows, or maybe somebody's got a good guess. But either way, I thought it was interesting. I've never seen anything like that before. You can see we've got a trammer and some ore carts left here. There's like a mucker right there. Pretty cool. Taking a closer look at that mucker. Big fat Gardner Denver on the side. And see a look inside. See the mechanism for lifting the scoop here in front up. You can see the remains of some ore carts dumped right here. And I am not sure what this piece of equipment is here, but I'm sure somebody in the audience will know. We've got the remains of a wooden dam on the creek above the mine here, which is pretty cool. Usually where we are in California, those are all long gone. Nice view of the mountains in the background here too. The Alaska winters are not easy on mine buildings. That is for sure. I don't even know what this might have been. These look like carbide barrels here, so maybe they were storing carbide here. Who knows? Great scenery though. It's hard to beat the scenery. There's an old miner's shack right there. And you can see it's a pretty beautiful spot. We're following the old miner's show right here. Pretty beautiful spot to do some mining, to be sure. We've got an old miner's cabin here. It looks pretty cool. You see the bed frame right there, and the great scenery in the background. This is the front side of the cabin, and it's interesting because you can see that the miner used sod as insulation. That's not rock, that's sod. Looking inside, well, obviously that's where he slept, and wasn't room for much else, as you can see. Got the canvas still up here. You can hear the wind whipping through here, so imagine this would have gotten chilly if he was here in the winter.